Good morning and welcome to this week's Q School. My name is Tyler Tremaine and I'm coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia. Also joining us today is my colleague Matali Aro
Good,
from Worldwide Headquarters in Milford, Connecticut. Good morning, Matali.
good morning, Tyler. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well. I look forward to talking about our topic today, which is high efficacy LED strip. All right, Matali, you ready to get started?
Yeah, Tyler, definitely.
All right. Oh, before we do that, sorry, we've been doing Q School for almost a year now. It's hard to believe, but we have accumulated all of these different options here you see on the screen. These are all different product presentations. You can find these on our YouTube channel. You can also share them with anyone that's interested in learning more.
Yeah, definitely, Tyler. All the information you possibly need is definitely on these YouTube videos, and you could always reach out to the regionals. As you guys can see on the screen there, we have done a Q school in the past on the HE and HE Plus, but we kind of added some new series. So this we're going to talk about what we added in since July.
Fantastic. Let's show everyone the where to find all the information on the website.
Yeah, definitely. So if you go to the website, you go to product, you go to LED linear strips. You could use the nice filters that the marketing team came up with, and you notice all the high efficacy strips pop right up.
Fantastic.
All
All
right,
right.
Tyler.
I
So now
think
we'll
we
get
should
into.
start taking a look.
Yeah, definitely. So first thing we're going to talk about in the presentation today is our HE series here, Tyler. If you notice here, we developed some higher wattages, which is like the 1.5, the 3.0, the 6.0, and the 9.0. If you notice the difference on the bottom there, we'll get into the greater details of how we came up with the higher lumens. Each one of these is kind of comes in a dry, damp, or encapsulated, or wet. But the 9.0, Tyler, is only available in dry only. So it's very important because of the
Why
high
is that,
power,
Matali?
because of very high power. So we can't really
Ah,
have
that's
it in the damp, wet, and then encapsulated because the way the board is designed for the heat. We want to try to keep the heat at a minimum. And then we got to try to maintain the heat also with these HE series, Tyler. And if you notice the big in red there, it's very, very important that if you're designing any of the HE models in any of the designs, that you have to use an extrusion. If you notice on the bottom there, we'll go through the differences that we have here. So, for example, one of the key points here, Tyler, is our standard SW strip, the cut points were 1 inch. So if you notice here now, we have 2 inch cut points. So when you're designing your systems, you got to take into consideration the 2 inch cut points. It's no longer 1 inch cut points. But the advantages that you're going to have here are greater than the cut points. So for example, if you look at the 6 watts a foot, you'll notice that the SW series, you'll get about 526 lumens, where the HE, Tyler, you're almost like close to 770 lumens. That's a huge impact on the lumens at the same amount of watts. So basically, what you're doing is you're getting a higher lumens at the same watts as our standard strip. And then if you look at the 3.0, you notice there too as well. You're kind of jumping up from like 300 to 400 lumens. So you're actually gaining lumens at the same watts. The good thing about the HE series, it is available in our Verse, our Q cap, and it does fit in a wide variety of our extrusions. And if you go to the spec sheet of each product, Tyler, you will find which extrusion fits for which model. So it's very important.
Matali, I also wanted to point out that the similar to the SW series, the HE series is also a one-step, one-bin LED, and with fantastic photometric qualities. So you do really get more bang for your buck, so to speak,
Oh yeah.
or a savings in power supplies by using the HE.
Correct, correct. And then for example, we don't have the spec on the presentation, but our 9 watts is over like 1100 lumens for 1100 lumens for at 9 watts. That's a big punch for a 9 watt strip. So I mean, we definitely made some headway in that point. We're gonna power some of these up, Tyler, real quick. So if you look at the overhead screen over here, this is our previous this is our SW strip. If you notice the difference in LED strips, the chip is wider, and if you notice the cut point is actually different as well. So we'll power one up. We'll power the previous the SW series up here. See, if you notice here, Tyler, this is, we'll try to get a quick example. It might be a little hard to see on the screen there, but we'll try to give it an example. If you notice, like, you get a huge amount of punch, basically for the same
Yeah,
amount of
wow,
wattage.
that's a
If
lot
you
more
notice,
light output.
yeah. So And like I said, you'll definitely save on the power supplies in these. Let me turn these off because I don't want to get blinded. Okay. So again, one of the things to take away from this slide, Tyler, is the extrusion. You got to make sure you use extrusions for the HE models. So the next thing what we did is we decided, we didn't have enough punch in our HE, so we came up with our HE Plus series styler. And here's where you get the bigger advantages on the power supply. So for example, on the 3 watts a foot here, you'll notice here at the HE Plus, you're getting almost like 587 lumens, Tyler. That's almost double
Twice.
what you would get at
Yeah.
the 3.0 level. So basically, if you have a system that is designed previously with our 6 watt or 5 watt a foot strips, you could use a 3 watt and almost like take the power supplies in half. I mean, that's a really, really great savings on the power supply. One of the things we have to mention here, Tyler, is that it's only available in dry and wet for the 3 and the 6 watt. So that's very critical as well. And again, like the previous slide, all of our HE Plus, Tyler, you have to have an extrusion. That's very critical for the heat dissipation of the strip. If you don't have it, you're gonna deteriorate the life of the LEDs because the heat needs to go somewhere. So, and then each one of these, if you go to the spec sheet, you'll find the corresponding extrusions that fit for each one of these models. And again, it's available in our verse and a Q cap as well. So we're trying to expand it through all our product lines so we can get a greater use of all the products.
I also wanted to point out, Matali, that the HE Plus series here, the LEDs are one-step tube in.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be consistency from project to
Correct.
project. And then the other was that wet option, the 6 watts a foot wet. We have now 1,000 lumens in a wet fixture, so that's pretty amazing.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't have that before, so that's a good feature to have now. So that's pretty cool. So the other thing I want to just go over to the screen here is if you notice, this is the difference between the HE Plus and the HE series. If you look at the strip there, you'll see I'll power up the HE Plus. This is a 3 watt a foot. You'll notice it's a big impact, of light here. If you notice, it's very, 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 very powerful. And this is only 3 watts a foot HE Plus, Tyler. So as you see, you get a big punch for small amount of wattage. And like I said, the biggest savings there is on the power supply. So that's very critical. Like when you're doing a design, sometimes you don't have room for a lot of power supplies. So you could use the HE Plus, give you a lot more lumens, use less power supply for space wise.
And Matali, as you just showed in the picture there, the diodes are definitely larger than the HE series.
Correct.
So please reach out to your regional if you are consider using this and want to know what extrusion it can go in to have a diode-free look.
Correct. It's very important.
Requires.
Yep, cool. Definitely. The next thing, Tyler, we came up with is we previously we had a 6 watt dynamic white strips. So we talked to people in the industry. We found out that some people wanted a less wattage with the similar outputs. So we kind of came up with our 3, 5, and 8 watt a foot dynamic white. This is a great series, Tyler, because you could actually go from the different color temperatures from 2,000 to over 5,000 K. So it's pretty cool, especially on the 8 watt a foot. If you look at it there, you're almost looking at 437 lumens. At 8 watt foot strips. So I mean that's pretty good punch to have two color chips in one strip. So, and again, very critical. You have to use the extrusion on the 8 watt a foot. There's you have to look at the specs to see what extrusions are fitting, and the same thing goes with 5 and the 3. One of the other things to take from this is the 2-inch cut points because that's very critical. When you're doing your design. So just make sure that you understand that as well. And one of the other things we want to talk about here is the dry and the damp, and then encapsulator is only available for 3 and 5 watts. So, the only one that's available, the 8 watts only available in dry, obviously because of the heat dissipation. Let's look at an example here, Tyler. I have on the right here.
Sure.
So I have an 8 watt a foot, and we'll just control the dimming. Here I'm doing a warming the curve here. So if you notice, I go down, you go from 5,000 all the way down to around 2,000. So it's you get a nice little punch there. And then you could also dim the intensity if you wanted to of it as well. So, And then each one of these has its own corresponding power supply. You could use the warm dim or adjustable white, or you can use DMX or Dolly power supplies to achieve the color temperatures that you want. So, again, we came out with a lot brighter um, strip for less watts. So you great. You got higher watts, higher lumens, makes a better product, Tyler.
So Matali, is it are there different LED strips for warm, dim, and adjustable white, or is it just the power supply?
Well, you have power supplies and you have different strips. So the adjustable white power supplies and the worm dim only will work with the dynamic white strips. So just make sure that you actually spec out the corrected power supply for the strip. You can't really use like a QZ, or you can, but you just only be powering one of the legs of the dynamic white. So to get the true effect, you got to get the warm dim or the adjustable white. Mm. All right, Tyler. One of the big other advances we made is on our RGBW series. This is actually one of my favorite ones that we have because it actually helps us design more efficient systems. Previously, we had a 6 watt a foot strip RGBW. Now we're down. We could get at the 4 watt and the 8 watt level. So if you notice on the 4 watt, you get basically almost a little bit more punch than you do at the 6 watt. So it gives a more efficient design. So again, it goes back to my original thoughts that we talked about before. You have more similar punch, less watts, use less power supplies. It gives you more efficient system, and you can use less power supplies on the design. So that helps out a lot of designers. One of the other things we improved on is the cut points. Sometimes it was hard to do drawings, bill of materials, and complete system with a 4-inch cut points because some of the cut points were around the 2-inch range, and you'd have like a little dead spot. So now with the 2-inch cut points, it gets a little bit closer to the actual design it needs to be. So that's a huge advancement as well. And if you look at the 8 watts a foot there, Tyler, if you notice, it's almost like doubling the lumen outputs at the 4 watts a foot. So you get a bigger punch. Yeah, you got to use more power supplies, but a lot of times if you want more lighting, you got to pay the price on the power supplies as well. And if you look at the overhead view here, you notice the different cut points. Previously, this was our 6 watts a foot where you had the RGB here and you had the white here. Now, our new HE series, you have the LEDs on the side and you have the RGBs in the center. So it gives you a lot more punch. Basically, it's like a 6-to-14 ratio of LEDs RGB to previously. In the same 4-inch cut point, you get almost like double the amount of um, chips for the product. So it's a great product. It's easy to work with. It's easy to design with the 2-inch cut points. And like I said, you're almost getting the same amount of a little bit more better output at the 4 watts a foot. So it's almost beneficial for everyone that way.
Yeah,
And
if we go back to the slide, I did want to point out the comparison between the 6 watt sort of product that we'd had in the past or still have. But if we look at the lumen output for RG and B, and then the two white colors, you'll see that the 4 watt per foot tape is actually brighter than our 6 watt RGB.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this will give you a better output, but save you on power supplies and give you longer runs for projects. So
Correct.
I highly recommend using the HE RGBW HE 4 watt per foot.
Yep. And then, like I said previously, these are definitely recommended with extrusions, and you just have to look at the spec sheet to find out which extrusions fit which series, and that's very critical when you're doing your design. So, I mean, that's one of the things we have to hammer home on this is if you're using our HEs, you got to use some kind of aluminum extrusion, and we have a abundant on our website. So.
Or certainly can reach out to your regionals and they will help you, select what you need for your job specifications.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. You can reach out to regional, reach out to myself, reach out to anybody. We'll definitely get you the answers that you need. I think that's about it. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate you joining us today.
All right.
Have a
Good
great
night.
day.